All right, here we are again. Today is Tuesday. Tuesday here, all day long. I think I got the day right. Tuesday, and today is April 28th, almost the end of the month here. And, just the days just keep rolling along. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's just like it's another day, same old stuff going on every day. At least for me and my family and a lot of other people. But today, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about what's happening here in Thailand, the mainstream media and its effect, and just their complete their complete denial, or they're ignoring what's happening with Biden. And I'm almost at the point now where I kind of feel like there needs to be some kind of a law against this kind of blatant favoritism. There are journalistic ethics, and I just don't know what's happened to them. And I've never been somebody who I would never consider myself a very serious journalist. Even with boxing, man, I was serious about boxing and I was serious about travel and sports. But I would never consider myself somebody who was like working for Reuters, because I don't, and I never did. Reuters, CNN, Fox, and I know that there are certain things you do and certain things you don't do. Certain things are commentary, like these streams tend to be commentary mixed in with a little bit of fact. I try to give some facts, but I don't know what's happening with them. And then also about Kim Jong-un and what's happening with him. Who knows? And then there's a few other things. But before I go any further, good morning, everybody. Before I go any further, this stream is brought to you by the premium members of AnAmericanInBangkok.com, my Patreon patrons, and all those who contribute in one form or another. Thank you very much. If you can't contribute, keep watching. I'd appreciate that. But if you would like to support the channel, take a look in the description or head over to AnAmericanInBangkok.com /Scott. Not feeling very well today. I don't know. I've been sitting in the air conditioning for the last 24 hours or so. I don't want to turn it off. And anytime I do that, I find I get a little bit of a sore throat. Soy Dog, what's happening? For those of you who don't know, here in Thailand, the emergency decree that was originally scheduled to end on April 30th was the last day, has now been extended to May 31st. And what that entails is all inbound international flights are still banned, and social gatherings banned, and there's still a nighttime curfew, and technically travel between provinces remains in place. And I don't know how they're going about checking these things, because a couple weeks ago I went into another province and there was no problem, and I thought there was going to be a problem. I thought it would be a little bit of a headache, but no problems at all. very easy to get around. Uh, I think at least some of the trains have been canceled. I know the buses, the public buses, are running. They have about 3,000 buses, but only about 75% of them are running. And then the long distance buses, uh, they're not running. At least the vast majority of them are not running. And so things are still, although people are out and about, and it seems like people are relaxing a little bit, which may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing. I don't know. At this point, I don't even know how I feel about this thing. Uh, because you only have, yesterday you had 9 cases here in Thailand, which 9 cases, I mean, think about that. This is, Thailand is like the size of New York, size of Texas, approximately. And yet you got 9 cases, and I don't think anybody died yesterday. Um, Let me double check, but one person passed away. There's been 52 deaths, and that's it. And considering that the population is about 70 million, to have 52 people die, I have to question. First of all, I have to question a few things. I have to question their tracking methods, their testing methods, and then also, of course, you question whether or not the people that are going in are they being forced to pay? Because I know that some people are not, but I also know that some people are, because I know somebody who had to pay uh, over 1 million baht, and they were Thai. And so I don't know how that worked, if they were in a private hospital or what the deal was. But, I don't know how they come up with their numbers. And I'm not saying that they are fixing the numbers, fudging the numbers. I'm not saying that. I would say that about China. And who knows here? It may be a simple case of not being able to track all of the cases, because people aren't going in. They may be sick and they may end up dying, and they're old, and so somebody just figures they're old. They don't test them. I don't know. I don't know how it works, but the case numbers are really low here. And so it makes me wonder, just what is the value when you have a place like Sweden that is practicing some form of social distancing, and they have almost 11 million people, and they have more people that have died. So their population is lower than Thailand's, but they have more people that have died, more cases of the virus. But they are not locking down. They're not closing down their economy. They are practicing some forms of social distancing. Thank you very much, Richard. Glad to know you're here. Death rate of 10%. I don't know. Let me see here. I can tell you pretty quickly. Sweden. You've got total cases. It's actually a little bit more than that. Total cases, 18,926. Total deaths, 2,274. However, like I said, they're not locked down. Their economy is not suffering. Do you need to sacrifice some people in order to not sacrifice your economy? It will be interesting to see if countries with hot weather have less deaths overall than colder countries as this goes on. I don't think that that's going to be found to be true, because there's a lot of places, and Singapore is one of them right now, that has Singapore is climbing rapidly. 14,423 total cases, which is It's 4,500 cases less than Sweden, but they have only 14 deaths. So I don't know, but they have almost just as many cases. Mexico is a hot place. I didn't get a chance to watch the video, Hein, and I do want to watch that about the Swedish professor explaining the methods. And I really believe that at this point, I think they're doing it the right way, where they keep the vulnerable kind of sheltered, and then the younger people don't go around the older people. Like, they're not going to go and visit their grandmother and grandfather and great grandfather, that kind of thing. And so they are doing a form of social distancing. New Zealand, let's see here. New Zealand. Where are we, New Zealand? Well, they've got to be pretty low then. Let's see here. Or I just missed. New Zealand. 1,469 total cases, 19 deaths. Now, that's fantastic, especially compared to, say, Australia, which has 67. Even Australia is not that bad. 6,720 total cases and only 83 deaths. So, you've got to. These places, they shut themselves off. I mean, like New Zealand didn't allow anybody in. Right. I mean, obviously, it's a little different when you have an island that's a nation, but I don't know that this lockdown is the way to go. But I think at the time when these leaders decided to lock down their countries, I think that it was really just that's what they were told would be the best way to combat this virus, and so that's why they did what they did. My sister lives in New Zealand. It's a big place also. I mean, you say it's small, but it's relatively large as far as getting around. It's not like you're going to walk across the island. And, Australia is huge. Australia is a continent. So, yeah, they locked her down. Now, this is the thing, is that, did we do enough in America? Or I think personally, I think that the president he's only going to do what his medical experts say. And they can only act on the information that's been given to them. And I do think China bears the responsibility, since it originated there, lie as they may. It did originate there. And I think they had a responsibility to get that information out faster than they did. They didn't. And it takes the United States government. I think one weakness of the U.S. government is that it can sometimes take them too much time to get through the red tape, as we've seen with Congress and passing bills. I walk around the block every day here in Michigan, and today the traffic was so heavy. People are tired of the lockdown. It looks like so they are just driving around. Yeah, I think that there's going to come a point when people are just like, you know what? I don't care what the law is. I don't care what's going on. We're going to go out. We're going to do our own thing. And I can tell you that here in Thailand, I went out the other day and went and what did I do? I think I just got some groceries. And they now have the plexiglass shield between the customers and the cashier. So you're not breathing on them, which, I heard about that in the United States, but they just put that in within the last couple of days. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they did that. And, we've been talking about, listen, I wish there was some other subject that I could discuss right now, but this is the topic of the year, of the decade, maybe of the, I don't know. but I think it's an important topic, and I had contemplated talking about this show, 90 Day Fiance or 90 Day Visa, whatever. I think it's 90 Day Fiance, because I'm just shocked at some of the actions these guys do, and they do it on, or women, and they do it on national TV. Uh, and so I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but uh, anyway, this emergency decree is still in place until May 31st, and as of now, foreigners who are in the country who've been here since March 26th have until the end of July. They have an extension for their visas and their no visa entry, the visa exempt, and there is no 90-day report due until then, or until further notice. So that makes it a little bit easier on the foreigners. But man, I would hate to be stuck here. Let's say that I didn't live in Thailand. I would hate to be stuck in Thailand as, say, a first or second time traveler. You don't know what's going on. You don't speak the language. And, let's say you saved all year to come here. You've got $2,500 to say stay here for 2 weeks. And, maybe you got $2,500 in the bank. You're a young person. And you get stuck here. You're going to have to beg, borrow, and steal, probably, to get enough money to be able to continue to stay, because staying here is expensive. Let's face it, unless you're staying in a little $3 flop house, which they're not that easy to find anymore, especially if you've only been here once or twice. But let's say you're paying $25, $30 a night. That adds up real quick, especially if you've got to stay for 2 or 3 months. Now, you can leave, but the price of airfares tends to be a little bit higher. The availability is quite a bit less than usual. And I just saw an article yesterday where it was saying that the airfare may be as much as 80% higher than BC, than before Corona. 80% higher. And I did a quick check to see how much it would cost to get to Chiang Mai from Bangkok, round trip, in a few days after May 1st. Okay, and it was about 4,600 baht on AirAsia. Now, normally you could get there with a week or two advance notice. You could get there for 2,500 baht, 3,000 baht. So the price has gone up for sure, and they're not able to seat people next to each other. Back in South Africa, which is my home country, they have been on very heavy lockdown for 5 weeks. People are now starving. They rob food stores and food delivery trucks. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that I've read, even in the United States, where meat packing plants are having problems, and if this is to continue, there are going to be more and more people that are running out of food, and that are they run the risk of starving. And I can tell you that I've been doing some checking stock, our own stock here, and I thought we had at least enough for a couple of months, maybe 4 months. Not meat, because the meat, if you're using meat, you got to use it sparingly, because you may not be able to get more. At least right now, most of the meat is available pretty easily. But I have been to the grocery in the past few weeks where there was some meat, like beef, wasn't available. There was really no beef. There was a shortage of like hot dogs and bacon. So, that is a concern. But, I've been checking the stock, and, we have some stuff like pasta and canned tuna, canned this, canned that. We've got a lot of that stuff, and basically every time I go to the grocery, which has been about once a week, I just try to buy at least a few cans extra of stuff, or a few products that will last, and then put those aside, because You just don't know. Even now, I don't know. What happens if they open up and this place goes nuts, and people start, like I keep saying, dropping like flies. Yeah, less flights plus not selling all the seats increases the prices. Yeah, which this is going to have an effect on travel for a couple of years at least. So even with the virus spreading fast, the government is talking about opening up. South Africa is going to be chaos. And South Africa, compared to various other countries in Africa, is head and shoulders above them. So it's going to... I saw something also yesterday that said this is the... What is it? This is the beginning of the end of the... What was it? This is the end of the beginning of this virus. Which, that's a pretty strong statement. Now, for guys like Jono, who is probably listening right now, and a few others, the booze ban has been something that has irritated numerous people, and obviously the alcoholics are, I can only assume they're going with through some serious withdrawals right now. Unless they somehow manage to stock up. One of my buddies, he had 4 or 5 bottles, and he said, this, I'm going to have to milk this because I don't know how long this is going to last. And in fact, there has been no word yet on when the booze ban is going to end. So will the booze ban continue through May? I can't see that happening, but you never know. Senegal is the only African country that's doing a great job. I'm not sure an alcoholic, but I could sure use a beer. Now, listen, I don't drink much, and all I have here is tequila, and I have a little bit of rum. And this rum in particular, I don't particularly like. It's not my favorite rum. I like Jamaican rum and the Captain Morgan. But I don't drink that much, so it's not like I need to run out and get it right away. But it would be nice. There have been a couple of times, and my wife's the same way. She doesn't want to drink tequila, so she's grabbed the rum and poured herself a rum and Coke. And, we don't drink that much, but, every once in a while it's like, man, I could use a drink, And the thing is it's not so much, there's nothing really physically draining as far as... we're not having to go out and forage for food. We don't have to go dig up some potatoes or onions or whatever. We're not out doing that. But it is a little bit draining mentally, and I think that's what most people feel. Alcohol black market is alive and well in Bangkok. I know there are places you can get it. It just I don't need it that bad to go get it, and I don't particularly like whiskey. So, make bathtub gin. I could buy beer from the shop 2 houses down. Unfortunately, I dislike them. You dislike the shop or you dislike the beer? There is one shop down the street that I don't particularly like, and I won't buy anything from there just because of how the people are. But mark my words, once they start selling the booze, I'm probably going to, we'll probably get a couple bottles of wine and maybe a bottle of vodka and some gin and some rum, just in case, listen, there's times when, you just want to grab the bottle and take a couple of swigs. And I'm not a big drinker anymore, but I still get that feeling once in a while where it's like, wow, would be nice to have a drink right now. Now there's some mixed messages. I think it's kind of mixed messages, which is not really surprising when it comes to Thailand, and that's because the Prime Minister has said that he's considering relaxing the lockdown restrictions, which I think is a good thing. But if you are continuing to keep this emergency decree in force, and then you're relaxing the lockdown restrictions. I don't know. It's hard to figure everything out. And Thailand, most foreigners find it a little difficult sometimes to navigate the whole system and to figure everything out. Right now, the Thais that are coming back in, they're the only ones allowed to come back. And they automatically are stuck in a 14-day quarantine. Now, I don't know if they have to pay or how that works. But I suspect that in the beginning, anybody who comes back that is a foreigner, you are a non-Thai, you are going to have to be under a 14-day quarantine. Excuse me. Now, I don't know. Maybe in 2-3 months, if they finally open up in 2-3 months, I don't know. Maybe they won't do that. But that's what they were talking about, and that's what's going on right now. So, even for, I don't know where he is, Mr. Longhorns, but I know he's been itching, and same with Soy Dog Cowboy, they've been itching to come back. But what are you going to do? You're going to come back and you're going to sit for 2 weeks in a little, I don't know if they're going to put you up in a quarantine hotel, or you're going to have to get your own, and you're going to have to have a tracking app, which is that's another topic, is, being tracked all the time. You're already being tracked. You can get around it if you don't have a phone. But if they say, "Oh, sorry, you don't have a phone. We have no way to track you. Sorry, you can't come in." Well, then I'll have to buy a phone. I don't know what like I keep saying, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. Yeah, I would imagine you stay in your hotel, and the people in the hotel are under order to notify the police if you are leaving and going somewhere and you're gone, and they think you're running around town, and there's no bars open. None of the main places are open. But let's say that you were to go to one somehow, you find a little place, and you're holed up there, and you got an app on, and they find you, that's it, you're busted. Now, something else that I saw was that the Thai Tourist Authority has said that, or the guy there, what's his name, Tawi Set or something like that, was talking about how tourism is not going to improve, likely will not improve until a vaccine is found. And I like how everybody seems to think that a vaccine is a given. Use another coffee. It's not a given. That's the other thing. What are they going to do? The other thing is, what are you going to do if you're holed up in a hotel? Are they going to have a restaurant in the hotel? Some of the restaurants, they're closed. They may have a restaurant, but they're closed. Are they going to deliver food to you? How are you going to get your food? And how much are they going to charge you? A lot of questions. I will not take a flu vaccine, period. I never get one as it is. Well, I haven't got one either, ever. And, I have my issues, but they can't even get the flu vaccine to work properly. How the hell are they going to make this one work? I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, it's, they keep talking about, we're in the midst of developing a vaccine. Oh, this person was cured. That person is safe. Oh, they got better. The truth is, if something really happened to where it's a game changer and we can forget about this virus, it would be all over the news. It would be everywhere in the world. They would be producing this as quickly as possible and spreading it and distributing it all around the world. And it's not happening. And yeah, that's the other thing. It's not always going to work. It's not necessarily the magic bullet. If you get it, then what? A vaccine isn't going to help you. My family gets the flu vaccine and always gets sick. I am not an anti-vaxxer, but I don't see the reason to get a flu At least at my age. I don't know. I'd have to talk to a few doctors about it. Yeah, I'm not into this whole Bill Gates conspiracy and all this other kind. I think that everything is about intention, and I don't think he's purposely trying to get people to take vaccines in order to control the population. Or I don't buy into that conspiracy bullshit. Flu vaccines work in that even if it's not the exact strain that will lessen the symptoms, vaccines are important. Well, I do think that they're important, but I don't really get the flu very often. I mean, I don't get sick that often. If I get anything, I get ill. Like I have a gallbladder that needs to be removed, or I have a some kind of nasal issue, or I have a hip problem, or I have arthritis in my hands. I mean, there's no surgery going to do anything for my hands. My hip is already taken care of, and eventually I'll get my whatever's going on with my nose taken care of, and then what else do I got? Everything else is very minor, so I'm in fairly, aside from losing some weight, I'm in fairly good condition, and I don't get sick all that often, Well, I mean, I had the flu more than once. I don't get it very often, but I mean, if you're, say, 50, 60 years old, you may have had the flu 4 or 5 times in your lifetime, 10 times. But I haven't had it in a couple of years. Well, I think a lot of people, one thing that people aren't talking about is a lot of people that, because they've been staying inside, because they've been holed up, they're not in their regular routine where they're going to like in my case, I'm not, jumping on a song tower every day and then getting off and walking and going across the street, or going over to the boat and then getting in and then walking down the street and going, walking a mile or two and taking photos and then coming back and walking and then getting in, the song tower and then walking home or whatever. I'm not doing that. So there's a lot of people that are in the same position. They're not walking to the subway. They're not walking to work. They're not bicycling to work. And so people are gaining weight. And I've heard about 10 people that have said, oh, yeah, I've gained 5 or 10 pounds, But that weight should be easily removed, as long as you want to lose it. That weight, I think, is, if you're careful, that'll come off. It's getting below the original weight. That's when it starts getting a little more difficult. So, like I said, the the plexiglass barrier between the customer and the cashier is up in the mall. And they've got all kinds of stuff set up in the mall. Now, I did take some pictures, some photos the other day and put them up on my Facebook page. And everything is pretty much shut down in the mall. However, when you get near the grocery store, they have some little food shops that are in front of the grocery that are open. And then they also have a couple of restaurants. And I can tell you that my favorite restaurant, Minato, looks like it's in trouble. This is a restaurant that Longhorns and I have been to, Jono and I have been to. Numerous people have went there with me, including my kids. And it's great. Really good Japanese food. Very tasty. And every time I go there, they have a 15% discount on takeout. And there's nobody ever buying. Now, maybe they're getting some phone orders. I don't know. AIDS is a virus and there is no vaccine. I get the flu maybe once every 5 years and it sticks like 2 days. Yeah, that's about what I get every 5, maybe 7 years. Find the interview with Dr. Erickson. He explains why locking us up for extended times is detrimental to our immune system. I believe that. So what's the news in Kim Jong-un, dead or not? I hope he is. Better than we hunt, you cook. The thing about the Japanese places, the food is very different than you hunt, we cook. And you hunt, we cook no longer has Cake working there. She decided to move on. She left. And so she's not there. And so they lost, in my opinion, they lost their best chef. She used to take the most care with the food, and she knew what she was doing, and the food was always excellent. But, the food that she would make is generally would be some kind of noodles, whether it be pasta, whether it be, pork, a pork chop, or just chicken, whatever. She always took the time to put everything together, and she would tell me, "Oh, I think this would go good with it." So she was very good, and she's not there anymore. So I know Bruce has said he's not going there. I already said I'm not going to go there anymore, and I didn't like how they were happy that I filmed them the first time, and then the second time I got a hard time for it, and they didn't even want me putting up the video. And I was like, "Don't worry, I'll never shoot here again." And she was just shaking her head about it because it was her boss. It wasn't her. She's not the one who told me that. It was her boss. And after that, and then, she left, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't need this place. It was a great place, and they can do some good stuff for you. And, but, the Minato is Japanese food, and they've got all kinds of different stuff. And it's a good place to go. And you can sit there and, stuff your face full of sushi, and it's not cheap, but it's reasonable. Sometimes I think Fuji is a little bit overpriced, especially for a chain. Minato, I think there's only 2 locations. The Eagle has landed. I am now home. Well, that's good to know, Mr. Mitch. You made it. Great chef with fish and pork. Yeah, she's a very good chef. This is something else. How are restaurants going to function? What are they going to do? They're going to put plastic, they're going to give everybody their own little compartment. Just like you go into an office and you got your cubicle. Is that what they're going to do now? They can't do that. So what's going to happen? This is the thing. So as long as this virus is killing people left and right, I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it in Sweden in restaurants. I'd like to know that, and I'm sure I can find that out. Maybe some people know right here in the chat, but let's get another beef Wellington special. Yeah, that beef Wellington was the bomb. Excellent. And, remember the girl that was working there that was serving us? She was working on a cruise ship, and I don't think she's I don't think she's got a job anymore. Because the cruise ships have stopped. Restaurants are open, but are people sitting like right next to each other? That's my question. How are they going about taking care of that? Because if you want to have social distancing, you need a little bit of space. And hey, Steve. Half the seats initially in the United States. Right. Yes, they sit with each other. Wow. Phase 1. They will have to have fewer tables inside. The restaurants will have to explore outside spaces for seating. I think people now like their restaurant food delivered to home. I'm going to do this on Sundays. It's very relaxing. Good for Grab's business. Yeah, I mean, having food delivered is great, but what about, there are times when I go out with people or I go out with the family, we don't want to be at home. Listen, I'm home now more than I've ever been, and, I don't mind it all that much. Once in a while, I need to go out, and I am going to be doing I decided I'm going to do a video probably tomorrow where I do a little walk around so we can see, what's still shut down, what's going on early in the morning, and I'll just do a video about it. I don't really want to do a stream, and I'll wear a mask. At least when I'm around people, I'll wear a mask. But I can tell you that, while there are more people out and people are generally staying away from each other, if this is as bad as they say it is, first, I don't know that I believe the numbers. Second, if I don't believe the numbers, then why would you, what good is it going to do to open up and then have everybody sitting next to each other again? I don't know. Is this going to hit later on? Is it still one of these things that's seasonal? I don't know. This is inquiring minds want to know. Everybody is, I think people around the world, this shared experience, people are wondering what's next. That's the big thing. Phase 2, 3, 2. Professor said they allow people in the restaurant, but you must sit down, and there is a 6 feet gaps. Phase 3, normal. In Nebraska, we are opening restaurants on May 1st. Okay. Nebraska is, one of those places, I think, kind of like Wyoming and North Dakota and these kind of places where they don't have a huge number of, they're not in the, let's see here, they got the list here. Oklahoma is number 28 with 197 deaths. Nebraska has 56 deaths. So, 56 deaths is minimal. And, I know that there are people that obviously they're suffering because of this virus. And I'm not trying to downplay it, but that's the thing, is that these places are less dense. Montana, 14 deaths. Alaska, 9 deaths. Wyoming, 7 deaths. So what are you going to do in Wyoming? You're going to keep Wyoming shut? I don't know if they're shut right now, but what are you going to do? You're going to shut it all down and just say, oh, well, sorry. It doesn't make sense. All deaths almost in nursing home or very ill people initially. Yeah. So that's another thing to consider, is that, like in Sweden, they're saying, okay, well, you're going to have to keep the vulnerable separated from the younger people or the people who might be more apt to give it to them, and then possibly cause them to pass away. Now, something that this has done, and I don't know if it's just in Thailand, but I did see that more Thais now are turning to dating apps. They're doing like virtual dating, which, if you followed me from the very beginning, I've never been one who thought, oh, online, is the way to go. Mail order is the way to go. I've never thought that. I always think just do it in person. If you can't do it in person, and I've had a couple little long distance flings in my life, especially when I was much younger. I had a long distance fling with a girl in Montana. I was in New Mexico, and she was there, and we were seeing each other for a couple months, and then she had to move, and we tried to keep in touch and everything, but it didn't work. And I dare say they usually don't, but they're turning to these apps. And lately I've been binge watching different shows, and one of the shows has been that 90-Day Fiance. All I can say is that some of these people, either they got huge balls, they have zero fucks to give, or they're just flat out stupid. They're chowderheads, okay? One size fits all, lockdown makes no sense, true. Remember, Zoom is a Chinese deal. Yes, and that's why I don't want to use Zoom anymore. I was ready to turn to it and push it. Now, supposedly they have some security and privacy issues that have been fixed, but the fact that they're owned by somebody who is, I believe he's a Chinese American, I don't, at this point, I don't care. I don't want to take any chances. I mean, I'm ready to sell my drone because it's made by a Chinese company, and I don't trust what they've got in the thing. Now, I don't think anything's going on with the drone that I have, but you never know. And I don't really know that it matters because I don't really have anything for them to see that I'm embarrassed about, or that, I'm not showing them anything top secret. But I almost feel like getting rid of it just because it's a Chinese made product, and it's a full on Chinese product. And so I'm like, you know what? I just want to wash my hands from as much stuff as I can. But I don't know if it's always possible. Let's see here. East Coast cities are heavily dense and people live on top of each other. New York City has more infected people as published. This virus has shown people around the world how corrupt and how the CCP influences other countries' governments. People would demand a stop to it. I hope this is that is the worst show. What is the worst show? I don't know if anybody knows, but I was talking about Germany and how they were planning on suing the CCP, and apparently they have done so, and they are asking for somewhere in the neighborhood of $130 billion. And Trump said, our figure is going to be quite a bit higher. The figure worldwide, quite a bit higher, but he said our figure is going to be quite a bit higher, and we have other ways. We're not going to send them a bill. So he may be he may be ready to say, hey, you know what? We owe you this much money. Sorry, it's a wash. We don't owe you anything. Now, that may cause a war. Who knows? I don't know. I watched Extraction last night, enjoyed it. My kids watched it. I told them about it, and I thought about watching it. And then, I at this point, I don't even have the desire to sit through a lot of shows, especially something that's an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and I've got to sit there and concentrate on it like a movie. Not saying that I don't, but I just don't have as much patience now. I mean, I'll sit down and read a book and read for 15, 20 minutes and put the book down and I'll go do something else. I just don't want to, I don't want to get involved with something that long. Backdoor, Steve, yup. I use Google Duo. It's a great product. Google Duo, I don't know what that is. They are watching our family videos and laughing and tracking everyone. Australia is thinking the same thing. Extraction is really violent. Yeah, my kids liked it. My wife was like, yeah, it's okay. I was asking them, is it good? And they were like, yes. I'm going to have a permanent hard-on if they sow China. If we get a Chinese payout, I want at least 50 acres, a few buffalo, and a couple of wives out of the deal. How about you guys? I wouldn't count on that happening. You can't even get them to say we were responsible for a portion of this. They don't even want to admit that. That's why I got no problem. I think people know by now, most people who watch this stream or listen to the audio version of it know that I don't have good thoughts of the CCP. They don't give me the good vibe. Google, Tesla's transformation into a Chinese company seems unstoppable. Insightful article. Sorry, meant lawsuit. Google Duo audio video product Zoom-like. Yeah, I don't trust Google either. And the thing is I was never this jaded when it comes to technology and, countries and people. And now I'm like, listen, I got my family, I got my circle of friends, I got some good viewers, and that's it. I don't need more than that. I don't want more than that. I don't need more than that. And I can tell you that my wife and I have been thinking, okay, what would we do if we need to go down to the south to her land, her mother's land? And would we make a little house down there? How would we do it? And how would we handle the kids going to school? How would we do these things? Because she's perfectly okay with saying, uh, listen, we gotta start growing some food, and we'll we may not just rely on money, but we rely on uh, ourselves, because we can easily buy some chickens, and if you have to, you can do it. It's just a matter of, do you really want to? Because it's hard work. It's like, it's just like you see some of those things in Alaska, these shows in Alaska. The majority of the time, the people, they spend the most of their time is spent foraging for food, fixing things, making sure that they have their needs taken care of so they don't die. You know, who has good thoughts of the CCP? No one. Uh, Mr. Mitch, been using it over a year, love it. Bill Gates is saying China did a good job today. Well, I disagree with him. Plenty of closet communists out there. That's frightening. Aquaculture. Yeah. This is why I'm hesitant to say Chinese. I always try to say the CCP, but I also attach all the people that follow them willingly, or who have been brainwashed by them. They are included because it's their mentality is that they want to take over the world. And I'll be damned if I'm living under their rules and their laws. I'd rather die. Now, we were talking about Kim Jong-un, and what I'm wondering is it going to be his sister that takes over if he is indeed dead? Dead? In South Africa, plenty of people are now turning to the government for more socialism in South of Africa, and the CCP are bed buddies. It's sad to see. Well, this is the thing. They provide money, and then people go, oh, now we're safe. We have everything we need. We're stable. But you're not really, because you're dependent on them. What people need to understand is they can't put all their eggs in one basket. If you've got one chicken that lays all your eggs, you don't have any other chickens, and you eat eggs every morning, and you're eating eggs all the time, and you just eat eggs and potatoes, you're growing potatoes, that's what you got. You got eggs and potatoes, and somehow you live off of that. Well, you have a bad year, and the crops go bad, guess what? Your potatoes are going to go bad. Somebody kills your chicken, the fox gets into the hen house, and the chicken gets killed. Now you got no chickens. Now what are you going to do? So you've got to diversify a little bit. Aquaculture. Yeah, there is a lot of shrimp farming, but it's not the moneymaker that it used to be. It used to be that every freaking bar girl in the world was like, they wanted to build a little fish farm or a shrimp farm, and they'd make 50,000 baht a month, 100,000 baht a month. The lockdown in the U.S. is a primer of what life in the communist world is like. The Fed, aka taxpayer, may end up holding many new state companies. Fed just bailed out Carnival Cruise Lines, Wynn Casinos. Next, the Chinese only use Chinese labor and engineering, and Africa is now owned by the Chinese. Yes, it is. A lot of people don't know that. Now, if you ever saw the show, it was a bit hokey, and you could tell it was kind of slightly scripted, as all reality shows are. I think it was called African Gold. It was these two guys who they were from Utah. I think they were Mormons, and they got some seed money, and then they went over and they tried to find gold in this area. I don't even remember where it was, Ghana or wherever it was. I don't think it was Ghana. Maybe it was. I don't know. Anyway, they ended up getting ripped off the first time. Then the second time, the Chinese had land that surrounded their land, and the Chinese would not let them go through their land to get to these guys to get to their own land. The Chinese didn't allow it, and so they had problems. And then the Africans went after them, and then the next thing you know, it was like, well, we're going back home. We'll have to start all over again. Boom! Then the show got canceled, and they blamed it on some misunderstanding with the government. I don't remember. Let me see if I can find out where that what country that was in. Let's see here. My kids used to watch this show. Oh, Jungle Gold. That's what it's called. It was Ghana. Yes, it was Ghana. Wow, it was on, man, this is a long time ago. 2012, 2013. Yeah. Let's see here. I heard you can now drive from Mozambique to Egypt on Chinese tar roads. Don't quote me on this. Wonderful. China plays the long game. They are interested in 100 to 200 years or longer plans. Yeah. And, I think we've just become complacent in the last, say, 50 years, 40 years or so. We've grown complacent. Let's face it, Americans are used to a good life. And they don't have to do as much as some as people in some countries in order to have that good life. Now, I'm not saying they don't work hard, but what I'm saying is they can attain a certain level of comfort easier than in certain other countries. What is this? Let's see here. Nearly all ships operated by U.S. headquartered cruise lines are registered in foreign countries. Well, that's always been the case. And staffed by foreign nationals. Why are we bailing them out? Please help me out with this. Because they may be owned by U.S. companies but registered elsewhere. I don't know. I went over the boating laws here in Thailand a couple years ago. I don't remember what they are now, but I do remember that you're not allowed to have I don't want to misspeak here. It was something to do with being the captain of a ship here. You have to have a Thai as the captain or something like that. If you can't register the boat here unless you are Thai or something. I can't remember. So, but anyway, getting on the subject of let's change tact a little bit here. Sleazy Joe, Sleazy Sleepy Joe. Why is it that MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, why are they for the most part, they are completely ignoring this woman who is calling him out now and who has said something in the past? They're just completely ignoring it. But then when you have this Kavanaugh, when he's accused, it's all over the news because, let's face it, now what it is the mainstream media, they no longer are trying to mask their intentions. They flat out do not want the Republicans to win. They flat out do not want to acknowledge anything that Trump does that's positive. They are looking for every single angle that they can get, and that is not news. That story in itself may be news, but they are not accurately portraying the news. And Fox is slanted the other direction. But John McCain shut down the XM bank loans to U.S. companies doing business in Africa. Then the Chinese took over. Thanks, Senator McCain. Happiest days, Saudis became major stockholder in Carnival Cruise Line. Not heard about U.S. bailing them out. MSNBC, CBS, ABC do not want to lose their power. They are trying to out Trump. Well, they may do so, but let me tell you, that's going to... let me just tell you something. If their constant antagonizing and berating, belittling, harassing Trump causes him to lose ground and lose the election, there's going to be more hell to pay than if he wins the election. Because at this point, I think the word is out. Everybody knows. Listen, you want to be a social justice warrior. You want to be, completely on the side of Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and Chuck Schumer and these people. How is it that they are trying to help the people? Say what you will about Trump. At least his actions have helped. I believe he will win in a landslide because I believe most people know that the Democrats are they're just like the CCP at this point, in my view. They're completely full of shit. Let me just ask you this. What the hell was Nancy Pelosi thinking to go on national TV in front of an expensive... listen, she's got 2 big refrigerators. They are very expensive refrigerators. They came up with different prices. But they're expensive, okay? What is she doing when people are having these kind of problems? What is she doing going on late night TV, showing off, talking about her ice cream, when she could have used that just to slip in a couple of sentences? She didn't have to show the ice cream. She could have had a little bowl of ice cream out and said, the one thing I treat myself to every once in a while is ice cream. I love ice cream. And, I got to say, the people, I hope we're doing everything that we can. But she's not. And she's not doing everything she can, aside from doing everything she can to knock everything off track. That's what she does. Her and Schumer, that's what they do. The Republicans would be doing the same thing if we had a Democratic Republican, but I don't think that they would do it to the extent. They haven't done it to the extent recently. I don't know. Maybe they have. But, this is not the time for that kind of BS. And, getting back to this 90-day fiancé, I got to say, there's one girl on the show, Darcy is her name. Yeah, I've watched a few episodes now. She was on for, I guess, 2 seasons. She's had 2 different guys, right? She kind of reminds me of somebody who would be like a Nancy Pelosi or something like that. And why, you ask? Because every little thing she wants to find a problem with. There's always a problem. Always a problem. The guy's cutting the steak, and there's a problem. You're not doing it right. I've got to do it. She's more willing. She wants to be right. She wants to get what she wants and do what she wants, and yet she wants everybody to love her. Well, aside from, I don't particularly like how she looks, but, she's got a body on her for a chick who's got a couple of kids. I can see where guys would like her, for the body at least. But oh my God, she's begging this guy to love her, and I'm like, what is it with the Democrats? They are right now, they're desperate, and that's kind of what she was or is. I don't know what her situation is now. I watched a couple episodes with her in it, and all I saw was her crying all the time. The chick's 43 years old. She's got younger guys on her arm all the time. And all she does is cry about how they don't love her. And why don't they understand? And all she's talking about, let me just ask you this. You go out with a girl. She's got a kid. And you're kind of like, hey, she's, I like her. She's kind of hot. We have a, we got that spark. Everything is good between us, in the sack and everything. And she seems like she's all right, but, she's a little crazy, but, I kind of like that. And then she takes you in front of her kid and she's saying, this might be your stepfather. I mean, has the world gone completely mad? Is it just me, or is the world going, what is it? What was that statement in the Joker? Is it getting crazier out there all the time? Because I'm like going, what does this chick not understand? What do the Democrats not understand? I mean, where is the logic? Where is the decency? Now, with her, I'm not saying she's not being decent, but I'm saying that the logic, her logic, is exactly batshit crazy. And let me tell you something. I believe Trump, he's batshit crazy. I believe that. I believe he's nuts. Now, he may be, I don't know, because I don't know him and I haven't really talked to him one-to-one and everything, but for all I know, he could be batshit crazy like an artist who's batshit crazy but churns out fantastic paintings. But he's batshit crazy. I mean, if you listen to him, he's nuts. I think he's probably overloaded with information and things he wants to do. He doesn't have enough time in the day, and I think it's probably, I don't know if he's mentally ill, batshit crazy, but I think he's just overloaded, and he's just got to the point now where he's a nutcase. It's like, shut up, you're fake news. Where are you from? Next question. Never seen a president act that way, ever. And then it's funny because he always calls on the ones, he knows their names. So he... Trump is on speed. Well, he might be. Who knows? He could have, like, the best stuff that you can get. His doctor is prescribing the most awesome drugs that he can possibly get. He's on the stuff for ADD. What is that stuff? Ritalin. Is that what it is? Ritalin? I don't remember what it's called. It's just stuff that keeps you up all night or whatever. And, he could be, He doesn't drink. Yeah, I heard him say that. Good for him. I mean, if he doesn't want to drink, I understand. No worries. He's doing the same stuff Hitler and Kennedy did. Ritalin and Adderall. That's what I was thinking of, Adderall. Yeah, he could be on it, who knows. But, okay, let's take a little informal poll here. Kim Jong-un, dead or alive? I'll be first. I'm going to say he's dead. I'm going to say he's dead, and they're going to come out with some kind of story and get everything into place before they're going to come out with the story. They're not going to come out with it until they have everything in place. He could be a veggie. And I hate to say that about somebody, but when it comes to him, listen, he's an atrocious piece of shit. And so I don't mind that he's dying and he's gone. Next, you got to get rid of his sister. Injected Clorox, Trump winning. Alive, but not for not much longer. Yeah. He decided to take Trump's advice. What was funny is they actually had a guy in the press conference a few hours ago that said to him, "Don't you feel like that you saying things about injecting disinfectant? Don't you feel responsible in some way for that?" He was like, "All right, next question." "No, I don't. Next question." Like, what the fuck? How stupid are these people? he is not a well-spoken person, okay? And I can relate to that because I'm not really either. I don't believe I'm very well-spoken, and he is definitely not. Bad shape, huh? That reporter huffs paint. She's hot. Well, she ain't bad, I can tell you that. Kim's locked down. There you are. Kim's locked down with 50 women in a hotel in Switzerland. Yeah, well, that happens with some leaders. They just decide, hey, I might as well go on the lockdown with, a couple dozen chicks. Quote of the times, we're in an era today when nothing is a disgrace. Everybody knows, but nobody likes to say it because then suddenly you're lamestream. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I do agree with we're in an era today when nothing is a disgrace. Actually, I still think that there are disgraceful actions, but I understand the mainstream and most of the time people don't believe they don't care. Nobody cares. There is no shame anymore. Everybody knows nobody likes to say it. Well, see, this is the thing. People need to say the truth, and I gotta say, before I go on, that several videos have been taken off of YouTube, and I'm not talking about mine. Mine are getting demonetized here and there, and some of them get remonetized, some of them don't. But I'm not a huge channel, so it probably doesn't matter that much. But there are some relatively large channels, and they say something about the virus or they say something about the politics. Boom! Their video gets pulled down. You can argue about freedom of speech, and you can argue that, well, YouTube is a private company, but so what? You have no freedom of speech in a private company that is seen by the public? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but they also do the same thing and manipulate the system. Thank you very much, Dre. Thanks. They manipulate the system. Yeah, this is the thing. The YouTube might as well be owned by the DNC. I wasn't able to log into my Streamlabs the other day. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I can get in now. Maybe they were having a problem. But I tried to log in, and I couldn't log in. And then I was like, I wonder if it's still going to work, the little guy and the little thing, the little thingy. Now I can log in. I couldn't yesterday. It's getting an error message. Nobody listened to what he actually said because most MSM outlets don't cover it live. They give a heavily edited version to the public. Okay, so, there it is there. It's like if I write something up, okay, if you take word for word everything and you don't change the context of what has been written, by leaving something out, by omitting information, then that's okay. But when you omit information that could cause you to feel differently or think differently about what has been said or written, then that's unacceptable, and that's ethically you're compromising. You're compromised. The only people dumb enough to inject Lysol are not Trump supporters. Trump supporters actually listen to what he said. Yeah, I agree with that. I really agree with that. Most people, listen, there's a lot of dummies in the world. But most people know, hey, thanks a lot, Steve. Thank you very much. Most people know that what he was saying was not inject Lysol. He didn't even use the word Lysol or disinfectant. What he meant was, can't you do something just like that, like kind of disinfect the body? Isn't there some way that you can do something similar to using a disinfectant, like injecting something that will disinfect the body? How come I know this, but a lot of other people don't? What do I speak Trump and other people don't? No, let's. There are plenty of Trump supporters who are idiots, and plenty of uh, people on the other side who are idiots. There's idiots all over the place. Even I'm even an idiot at times. I admit it. You know, what are you gonna do though? You know. All right, let's see here. What is this? All right, now it works. So oh, they have a green screen on here. I may have to get myself another laptop, a more powerful laptop, to be able to use a green screen. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It'd be all right to have, like, listen, I'm starting to think I need to get myself a little microphone and get a better microphone, get a whole little system set up. I don't have to spend a shitload of money. You can get a decent microphone for, I don't know, $200, something like that, $150. Reasonable people understand. I don't think he should have said that he was being sarcastic. No. Although I do think if he could have went, I was being sarcastic, just like I'm being right now. If he would put it that way or something like that, if he was just like, I just want to fuck with you, that would be a little bit different. Question, what ideas has Biden presented? I can't even understand Biden when he speaks. Have you seen the video where he told the old and sick to hang out till November so they can vote for him before they die? No, I haven't heard that. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard it, but I'd like to see it. I have watched the press conferences and then watched the coverage on MSNBC. I actually wondered if I actually watched the press conferences. So different. Yeah, I agree with that. Press news secretary sums it up on Fox. So is everybody. I fear American voters suffer a lot from the bandwagon state of mind. They'll follow their champion no matter what he or she does. One thing that I think is that the problem is we don't really have leaders that people. Can you honestly say Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Joe Biden? Hey, wow, Bernie Sanders. Wow, extremely intelligent guys who are great leaders and who would implement fantastic policies that I could be proud of being an American. I don't think I could vote for any of them and say that. But now, if you want to vote, and if it's Hillary Clinton versus Trump or Michelle Obama or whoever, then you're picking the lesser of two evils. Oh, okay. I'll check it out. Oh, there you go. All right, I'll have to check it out. Richard, best wait until you die, then Democrats will take care of your vote for you. Well, I did see something that said, people use an ID card. You need an ID card to what is it? I don't even remember what it said, but you need an ID card to, get into certain places and to buy booze and these kind of things. But you don't need an ID card to vote. What's up with that? Even if they don't hang on, they'll still vote in November twice. Sleepy Joe really has memory issues. And it's shame that his family allows it to continue. Yeah, I kind of wonder about that. And, I'm hesitant to... I don't want to give the guy a hard time for if he's got issues, brain issues. If he's got dementia or something like that. But, especially somebody like me who I'm constantly forgetting what I was going to say. But I do think he's sleazy. If you just watch him, he's sleazy. Now, it's one thing to be sleazy behind closed doors or with somebody that you know and trust or that willingly accepts it. They like it. It's another to just go up to some chick you barely know and to stick your hand behind her, give her the reach around or something like that, He said the cure is the thing we need to do, the thing, Then we're back to the U.S. being practice a biparty country with heavily commercialized politics. Yeah, exactly. Biden is the Democratic presidential candidate. I wonder if he's aware. I don't think so. Sleepy Joe versus Speedy Trump. Well, I mean, Biden is corrupted by Chinese money. Don't forget about that. I haven't forgot because I was just going to say that, wasn't it, who was it? Bin Laden who said he thought that it would be good for Biden to become president because he was ill-prepared or something like that. I wonder, how long he's been suffering from these issues. Why the hell? I don't understand something. Okay, now, I'm not rich. I don't know how rich Biden is. Let's see. Let's check it out. What's he worth? 9 million or is it 9 billion? Middle class Joe to millionaire built a $9 million future. Okay, so let's say he's worth 10 million. All right. I'm not worth 10 million, so I don't know what it's like to be someone in his position. But why, what is he, 77? I think he's 77. Yeah, he's 77 years old. He'll be 78 in November. So why, when you have a $10 million fortune, do you feel the need to subject yourself to the criticism of millions and millions of people around the world when you could just go home and hang out at the farm, maybe be a consultant once in a while and work on your, eat a lot of fish or something to work on your memory? I don't know. Take some, what's that stuff that Joe Rogan is always pushing? It starts with an O. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe I need to take some. I forget what it's called. On it. That's what it is. On it. The On It. All right, you take that On It thing for the brain or whatever. Maybe he needs to get with Joe. Take some On It, and, he'll live out his years. Maybe he'll last another 10, 15 years. Maybe smoke some doobies once in a while. Maybe that's what it is. He's been smoking too much dope. I don't know. Maybe he's, he hits the bong before. Going on the air in 5 minutes. All right, let me take a couple bong rips. Can you see that? Guy's like almost 80 years old, and he's like, look, pass me that bong, dude. You're going on the air in 3 minutes, sir. Don't worry about it. I'll be all right. Remember, though, Dems are politically astute. They must have a surprise in store. They can't let Biden run. Debates will be a bloodbath. Well, 2 brain surgeries. Yeah, I don't know. Mosquito. So anyway, I guess that's where we're at now. I can't believe it's been an hour and a half already. I'm sure we'll find out in the near future whether Kim Jong-un is dead or not. What's going on with him? Is his sister going to take over? Some people have said China is going to take over. All I can say is I'm hoping that China takes a big dump. And they need people's help, and they're asking for it, and people are telling them to fuck off. He had 2 brain. Should campaign with Mr. Chong. Hey, man. Dave's not here. Huh? Dave's not here, man. They took out his brain and left the aneurysm in. They let Clinton, too, run. She has the charisma of a hamster. Ugh. Listen, I don't particularly like hamsters just because they remind me too much of rats and I don't find them cute. And I know somebody who has a little hamster and she loves the thing. And I'm just like, ugh, that's a deal breaker for me. Get a cat, honey. That's bad enough. Get a dog. Hey, that would be great, But a hamster? And, the thing is that to me, Clinton's worse than a hamster. So what's that say? I don't like her. I never have. You want to have you give the illusion that you're trustworthy. And I'm not saying that Trump gives that, but I think he's so focused on doing what he wants to do, and a lot of the time, you just have to trust what he's doing. But like with her, I just think she's a sneaky old lady, And don't play the grandma card with me, honey, because it ain't gonna work. I don't care if you are a grandma. There's a lot of grandmas out there that were and are terrible people. No, yeah, exactly. I know. But let's hope Michelle Obama doesn't run. That might be a deal breaker for Trump. Who knows? I sure hope not. I don't think she will. I don't think she wants to see. I think she's having too much of a good time now. So, let me see something here. Let's see here. She wears drop. Ugh. Okay, well, you see, here's the thing, Victor. You'd be happy if Trump got voted out, but then who's going to take his place? Because be careful what you wish for, because what takes his place might be worse than he is. That's how I look at it. Same thing with the CCP. I'm more than willing to take the chance with the CCP. When it comes to him, I'd say no. Why get rid of him? He's the best that there is right now. I think he's far better than Biden. And I like I said, there are certain things be nice if he well. You want Biden standing up there blabbering, not knowing what the hell he's saying? Then what? His wife's going to take over? I mean, really? I don't see it happening. Yeah, that's the problem. They don't really have They don't have a candidate. And I did hear the other day somebody say, say what you will about him, but if you're American, he is our president. And he did get voted in, and you can say he didn't get voted in fair and square, but guess what? He did. So you just got to deal with it, I'd run, but I'm not born American or American at all. Okay. Would you really want to? Would you really want to run? I mean, seriously. How come I can't? Anyway. Interesting subject matter. Yeah, I mean, who the hell? Listen, who in the hell, in their right mind, wants to run for president nowadays? Yeah, I don't know, Tom. I don't know if the Obamas moved to Martha's Vineyard or not, but it seems to me that they're living a good life. They're not hurting by by most standards. Trump 2020, 24, and 2028. Yeah. Will Trump dump Pence for Nikki Haley? I don't think so. Now, Pence is another guy. He's got the personality of a rock, you know. But I think he's the kind of guy that Trump needs. Very unemotional, doesn't, at least it seems this way from what you see publicly. Let me see something here. What is the deal with that? In my own country, you vote for parties rather than persons. That's often criticized, but maybe it's not that bad if you look at the ego battles for president. Can you name a few of number 45's qualities? As a person, human, something you can say, at least he's... I don't know. Why don't you tell us, Carl? Egotistical? He is. I don't want to say he's sharp. He's certainly not a sharp speaker. He's not. He doesn't speak very well at all. But business-wise, I think he's better than most people give him credit for. Certainly better than Hillary Clinton. Keep her away. That's all I got to say. Keep her away. Yeah, he tested himself and he's got a 178. Confirmed. How about he was good in the what was the name of the show? The Apprentice. In The Apprentice. He was good in The Apprentice. Yeah. Just sadness. He's getting rid of the central bank and the deep state globalists. Bravo. Just sad this? You mean just said this or sad? I don't know what you're trying to say. Explain yourself, happiest. Mighty Whitey, there you are. He's very smart, he's very successful, and he played the Democrats like a fiddle in 2016. Well, he did indeed. He does know how to push buttons. And, I dare say that a lot of the stuff he does on Twitter is calculated. Quite calculated. He's not just acting on emotion. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. Another subject, how are you and the family doing there? Let us hear about it. How are we doing? We're doing fine. Wife still has a job. She's still working. Alex I think he's in school right now, online. Nicholas is still sleeping in until 12, 1 o'clock every day. But he's out of school. He's supposed to start in a couple of weeks, but I think they're not going to start on time. So we'll have to find out. But I believe he said they're not going to, which was news to me. I like Trump. He's very entertaining, like a master internet troll. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he's very, very calculating. Now, do I think he's the most presidential? Would I like him to be a little more presidential? Yes. You know, it's like, can you imagine me being president and I'm like, fuck the Chinese, fuck the CCP, motherfuckers. You know, I mean, how would that be? You know, did Obama say that? I'm going back to just listening. Carl, but you didn't say anything. Do you have any good things to say about him? I will say he's a New Yorker. Is that a positive? It must not be, because I don't think he does very well in New York. Aside from making money. Yeah, he does seem to get under a lot of people's skin. You know, to be honest, I don't care who the leader is, and I think that when it comes down to it, he's just another little glitch. It's a matter of how deadly is this glitch going to be? Is it, you know, if they open up around the country and not one good thing. Yeah, I mean, I do have to kind of think about it. You know, like, it's not like I can go, well, he's very well dressed. He's got great hair. You know. China Corona perpetrators. Okay. They can't stand him and he loves it. Nothing good to say. Trump is the thinnest skinned, biggest snowflake of all. I think he loves it. I think he revels in this shit. To be honest, I think he loves it. He loves what's going on. He loves what... thank you very much, George. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. End of the month here. You know what that means. I took my Beach Chewables today. My gut fucking hurts, but my teeth are really white, LOL. Now, I gotta say something. I don't know where Beyond Trinity is, but I still have one of the chips left that I already ate, the Pacquiao one chip. I have some of those left. I have one little bag of, what do you call them? Jelly beans, spicy jelly beans. I have two of the chocolates. All right? Now, the other day, just because I felt like doing it, I took out the chocolate. Now, this thing I think is 1.7 million Scovilles or 1.9 million Scovilles or something like that, which is the heat rating, and it's very, very spicy. But I didn't really have a problem with it except for a little bit of a stomach ache and for like 10, 15 minutes. And it was all right. I could do it again. I wouldn't have any real problems with it. But it wasn't exactly pleasurable. Now, night before last, I got out the boxes of chocolate. I put one of them back. I opened up the chocolate and I said, I'm not going to eat very much of this because I know it's going to be really spicy. So what I did was I chipped off a little tiny piece. And by little, I mean like the size of a match head. Okay? Then I just got a little flake, just a tiny little flake. I gave that to Nicholas. And immediately Nicholas was like, oh, wow. And I was like, oh. So I had this little match head of chocolate, and I put it in my mouth, and it was the spiciest thing I've ever eaten. And while it was just a small piece, though. I didn't eat the whole thing. And while I was able to eat it, it was no problem to eat it. My mouth was burning for probably 15 minutes. And I mean, it couldn't have been, it was about this big. That's it. Not even, just about that big. It was so small and it was so spicy. So I can't see myself ever eating the whole piece of chocolate. It's going to be too much for me. I'm not ready to tear my guts out. We're all in. Yeah, we're all in right now. I want out, though. I want out of this life. And I don't mean out. I mean out of the bubble we're in. And as I've said, my wife and I have been talking, well, wow, what would we do? How would we deal with this? And blah, blah, blah. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is my kids. Uh, I just worry about them getting through school and finishing up school and, having a decent chance at a decent or good life. I'm not so worried about her and I because I know that both of us will, especially her. She can handle the farm life pretty easy if she really wants to. Um, but I've been thinking about it, and I'm just like, man, will it get worse? I don't think it will. I think we're going to be okay. I said that in the beginning. I said May 15th. That was my date. I think it's probably going to be uh, June, maybe even July, and then it's going to take another year or two for things to what am I trying to think of here? To fall into place and settle so that you can see the new normal. Right now, things are going to be implemented, and you're like, oh, is this going to be permanent or is it going to be temporary? Am I going to have the chip shot in my shoulder, or I'm going to have a little app on my phone? Is everybody going to have this? I believe that in some in the provinces in Thailand, what they're doing is they give a sticker, and if you go out of the province, they take the sticker off, and they test you, and then you can go back in. So we have all this stuff going on, and while I do think we're going to be okay, it doesn't mean that I really would like to be in the city. I don't really want to be in the city for much longer. But when you got kids, you got other things to consider aside from what I want, what we want. It's all about us as the family. I have complete faith we will be okay. Faith. I have absolutely no guess as to when exactly, but we will get through it. Yes, we will be fine, and there is nothing compared to what other generations have been through. Sticker, that is BS. Yes, other generations have been through some brutal shit. Yes, definitely. In World War II, the Spanish flu, the Depression, Well, yeah, I mean, listen, if it comes down to it, I got to put their needs in front of my own. And, how else are you going to do it? Now, if it came down to like, well, listen, if you stay in Bangkok, you're going to die. Well, then we're gone. And we can't always think about, hey, well, they've got to go to school. Well, maybe they can continue to study online or something. I don't know. That would be great. But, the only way that we would stop them from continuing their education is if we absolutely had to, if we had no other choice. That would be the only way. Oh, I have an annual leave next week and going cycling in Samupakan, Nantaburi, and Patumtani. Will this testing need to be done there? I don't know, because they say that they've got checkpoints and all these kind of things, and then the times that I've been out, I've never seen them. So I don't know. Yes, my kids are U.S. citizens and they are Thai citizens. They're dual citizens. Are the kids? Biden will drop out by June. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see him getting through this sexual allegation, but you never know. Homeschool, Malin, PhD. You don't want me teaching them. I teach them enough already, and they're a lot smarter than. How can I say this? They've got a few tricks up their sleeves that they know because of listening to me and listening to my wife. I'm sure that that's been assimilated, and they're perfectly capable of doing. What was so funny is, say 5 years ago, 7 years ago, my wife and I were making them do chores. They had to take out the garbage. They had to, clean the dog shit up outside. They had to wash outside up. They had to do all kinds of things. And the lady across the street would be like, "Oh, really? They have to do all those things? Why are you making them do that? Oh, can they do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. They have to. They don't have a choice. They need to learn some responsibility. You know, you want a little money for something? Well, guess what? You're going to have to earn it." And so, oh, thanks, Soy Dog Cowboy. Thank you very much. Number one fan. Um, how can you forget Biden's pervy shit? Um, I think at the very least, the good thing about my kids is that they speak uh, English fairly well, pretty well. They speak better than they speak. Uh, I'd say their English is better than my wife's, and my wife's English is it's good for a Thai. She doesn't have that choppy. Uh, when you go, I don't know how long. She doesn't have any of that kind of stuff. Um, so at the very least, I think they have some advantages. But I want them to finish their education. So Biden is a perfect defense on the allegation. He cannot recall if it happened. I don't remember sticking it up there. How can you tell? No, it wasn't me. And they got it on camera. That's the thing. Damn, I totally forgot that the Biden's pervy shit resurfaced. Tough times create tough people. Yes, like swimming naked in the pool. I never forgot, but I forgot that it hit the MSM again. I know people who lived under communism, concentration camps, and much worse shit than yet this. Yes, I also know some, and yeah, I mean, as much as we bitch and moan and stink finger Joe, as much as we as much as we bitch and moan, or some people bitch and moan, like Jono and I were talking yesterday. It's not that big of a deal that that we're supposed to stay in. It's not really that big of a deal. It's that you want to be able to go out. Oh, thanks a lot, Tom. All right, thank you. What do you call instead of second it? How about 100th it? What do you say about? How do you say that? Like if 100 people did that? The older generations are laughing at us, crying like bitches over this crap. Stink finger Joe, LOL. It's better with a cigar. Oh God. Yeah, you know what, Mighty Whitey? It's I talked to my parents, and like my grandfather was shot down over Myanmar, and he was in the jungle, and somehow he made it to the border. He got through, and he was in bad shape, and they flew him out, and he was flown. I think she said he was flown to Florida, and then his future wife, which is my grandmother, was a nurse, and like he basically made it through the jungle, and it took him quite some time to get out, and he was in such bad shape they had to stick him in the hospital for a few weeks, and then the war was still going on, and it's like times were hard. And so when I hear this kind of stuff about, like some of these little snowflakes, like, I can't get a haircut. Yes, so shave your head. Listen, you got to do what you got to do. What's the big deal? Get some scissors and give yourself a shitty haircut and stop your bitching and moaning. My great-grandfather, a Marine, was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions during the Boxer Rebellion. Now, that was some shit. Interesting. Yeah, everybody's got stories, and especially us older guys. And, the majority of people in this stream are men. About 98%. Fluctuates from about 90% to 98 or 99%. And they tend to be 40 and up. Although there is a fair percentage that are in a 25 to like 34 or something bracket. But generally, this is an older set of people that are in the in the stream and in the chat. And I think that it takes people. It takes people like that have been through World War II or the Korean War, some serious shit. It takes those kind of people to recognize that there's a lot of people nowadays that they are just pussies. And let me tell you something. I mean, there'll be times I'll bitch and moan about things, but I know in the end, like, all right, you can bitch and moan for 15 minutes. This sucks. But then guess what? You still got to live with it, My wife's grandmother was in Auschwitz, and after that she lived under communism. Wow. Yeah, when I was in university, I took a socialism class, and they brought in a lady who had been I believe she was in Auschwitz, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But she had numbers that were tattooed on her, and she was talking about everything that went on, and I was just like, and I was a lot younger then. I was in shock, and everybody in the whole class, we were just all ears and sitting there, on the edge of our seat because we couldn't believe some of the stuff she was telling us. So, yeah, things are pretty good right now. We should be grateful for it, but we better take some action. Our government better take some action in the next few years to take care of our supply chain. And I'm not talking about just America. There we go. All around the world. There's something to be said for a bug out bag, or to have something like a truck that you have stocked full of tools and food if you got to take off. Is it a big enough truck? You got extra gas? I mean, there's all kinds of things to consider, and the people don't usually think of these things. I mean, unless you're a prepper, a hardcore prepper, William C. Horton. World War II, one in North Africa and the other in submarines. Oh, submarines. I sympathize with those guys, man, in subs. William C. Horton, you just pissed yourself? What? 99% of us cannot imagine true suffering. Dad was a tail gunner in B-29s during Korea. Mighty Whitey, that is some serious stuff. I have a friend whose parents survived it, then came to America. I wonder what they will call the TP shortage in the future. Unfortunately, she stayed in Poland, but she is a great person and still alive and living in eastern Poland. Oh, wow. Damn, Bruce. That was brutal on so many levels. Mitch, not good for the great cornholio. Oh my God, I just pissed myself. Literally or figuratively? Mitch definitely should never forget. Yeah, interesting, huh? We think we got it so hard now. And, you think about it, back in the Depression, when you went to a store like a little grocery, they had very few, they didn't have much stock. I mean, they didn't have nearly what they have now. What we have now. What we have now is, they've got a whole area in the back just stocked full of all kinds of food, not to mention what's on the shelves. In the old days, you had a little market, and, that would be it. Once the stuff was gone, they weren't getting more stuff until the next day or the next week or whatever, Submarine crew, 140 men go in, 70 couples came out. Hot bunks. I don't know, have you ever done the hot bunk thing? Because I did it on a fishing boat in the Bering Sea, and it sucked. It's just kind of disgusting to think about it, but you get over it because you're so tired that what choice do you have? You just go, all right. You hope the guy didn't piss the bed or shit the bed or whatever. Cornholio, the great Cornholio. I haven't heard of him for quite some time. I need tippy for my bunghole. I am the great Cornholio. Stalin supposedly killed many more people than Hitler did. Hitler was an amateur compared to Stalin. Yeah. Hot racks, minesweepers. Well, let's, like I said the other day, I think that eventually something's going to pop off. Now, I'm hoping that it's not some kind of a war that wipes out millions and millions of people. It might happen, though. It wouldn't surprise me if it did. But I think that at least in the beginning, we're going to be dealing with cyber warfare, this kind of bio weapons and different economic warfare and that kind of thing. I think that's kind of what we're in store for in the near future. When I was 25, I spoke to a guy that grew up on the wrong side of the Berlin Wall. The guy told me about his life there. We were both almost crying. Since that day, I've been changed. Yeah, I really wish those closet commies could have a chat with somebody like that. Yeah. Anyway, wow, 2 hours. 2 hours already. Time's flown by. And let me see here. What do I got here? I'm trying to find some other music that I can play that's not quite so generic. Yeah. How's the Philippines? I don't know. I'm not there. The end, my only friend, the end, yes. Hitting the sack. All right, Dre, you take it easy. Everybody, take it easy. Just make it till tomorrow. I think we're going to be okay. This might last for a little while longer, but, if you ever start feeling that down, send me an email or whatever. But I would say that if you just remember, things could be a hell of a lot worse, and I think most of us do know this. Yeah, Soy Dog Cowboys, take it easy. Hank, thanks for joining us. Mr. Mitch, take care of yourself. No, I'm going to stream on Thursday. Thursday's another stream. I don't know, unless something happens, maybe I'll stream tomorrow, but probably Thursday, It's a little bit difficult for me to do a daily stream and come up with the content, Anyway, yeah, everybody, take it easy. Richard, Mighty Whitey, Hellfire Missile, and all you other guys out there, take it easy. See if I can get this thing right. Dave. Act up that mind. See you later, Tom.